Hey, everybody, and welcome to Positively Psyched with Rod Loudon. Today's guest is a composer, conductor, educator, and he's the host of the very popular Daily Doug, which has almost 500,000 subscribers, which is pretty amazing. Please welcome to Positively Psyched, Dr. R. Douglas Helvering.
Hello there. Call me Doug, all right, Rod?
All right, well, call me Rod.
Sounds great.
One of my old professors used to say, call me anything as long as it's not too disgusting.
Yeah, being a college professor, as long as I have been one, you get called a few things, but mostly they're good. Mostly they're good.
Right. So let's dive into a little bit about your history. Well, first I want to say, I recently encountered the Daily Doug while I was on vacation, and I was watching you. I'm like, oh, he's gonna discover or analyze Power Windows by Rush, one of my favorite albums of all time, and one of my favorite bands of all time, if not the favorite. And I'm watching you, and I'm just like, this guy's the opposite of me in terms of ear. My ear is getting better over time. But you're like, okay, well, on this song, they're an A, and then they go up to the flat 6 to the flat 7. Oh, they just modulated the F sharp. Oh, no. I'm like, oh, now they're an E. I'm like, oh, my God.
It's musical play-by-play, and on the outside and on the inside. He's coming around he's by a turn. Yeah, there you go.
No, but it was just amazing to see someone have just such a connection and know exactly what they're hearing and being able then to really bring an educated voice to it. So I was learning stuff about Rush, and I know a ton about Rush, that I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing. Oh, and this is what, for this album, they really centered on the A to the, flat 6, flat 7 for whatever, one of the things, but just amazing. And then earlier today, I was watching you, this might've been your first Rush viewing with La Strangiato.
Yeah, La Via Strangiato. Yeah,
and
I think that was the very first one.
Yeah, and you said, thanks, G. And you said, this not knowing Russ, to quote you, that shit stops now.
That's true.
So
that
very cool how what you're doing musically and bringing your wealth of knowledge and experience and musicianship to people around the world, and that is awesome. So how did you get your start in music? What was the first instrument you ever played?
Well, I kind of got into music in a backwards sort of manner. My family is not a family of musicians. I come from a family of sports-minded people. And as a kid, I really was not involved in music. I was involved in sports. I played baseball and basketball. I was coordinated, and music really wasn't a big thing in our household. And when my family moved, at about the start of my 8th grade year, we moved towns, and I ended up being invited to join the choir instead of being just given a study hall. And the funny anecdote that I tell people is that at that particular time I was ambivalent. I told the guy, I can't really sing, and he says, well, neither can half the people in the choir. You don't need a study hall. Come, I need guys. I need guys in the choir. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, the choir this year has like 30 something girls and like 7 guys. And I'm like, well, what time does choir start? And it was a completely different crowd from the baseball and being outside and sweaty and all of that. And it was the hardest and most vulnerable thing that I had ever tried to do, sing in front of people.
Oh God.
Right? And it was thrilling at the same time, and it really hooked me being involved. And then when you hear all of these people kind of take a breath and they come in together, and you have a sound that's the sound that you planned, and it's a nice sound, you want to keep doing that. You want to keep coming back to it. And so throughout my high school, I was kind of commingling with my sports work and my love of music and ensemble stuff. And I started picking up the piano, just kind of by ear and by kind of math, just to figure out all the ways that it connects in. And I had a couple of teachers try to start teaching me, but um, I had instincts without fundamentals, and they had no idea how to help me. uh, and by the time I got to the end of my high school years, on my letter jacket, I had baseball and music. Just a weird, combination. And I didn't go into college really thinking that I was going to do music as a career, but I got pulled into, again, more ensemble activity. And the more I got into it, I'm like, this stuff, trying to figure out how music works, why it works, the emotional pull of it, and how to quantify that in some way so that I can understand it as best as I can, became a driving creative force, of driving curiosity for me. And so I started in on that, and I got my bachelor's degree in music theory and composition. I
From
in
where?
Omaha, in Omaha,
Oh,
University of Nebraska, Omaha,
now, where did
which,
you go to high school?
yeah, they're in Omaha. I consider Omaha my hometown.
Okay.
Although my family's more from the South, but when we moved up to Omaha, which is a great town, right in the middle of the country.
I've been there.
And and I was gonna, just kind of go off and just get a job, maybe start a family and something like that. And one of my professors convinced me that, you know what, you're really decent at this. You should think about your master's. And so I ended up being accepted at this wonderful school here on the East Coast called Westminster Choir College. And I'm a choir rat. I love singing in ensembles and writing for ensembles and being involved in all of that. And this is kind of choir mecca out here,
Uh,
at least in that generation. It was basically a professional level choral organization that was scholastic. Uh, the 2 years that I was getting my master's degree, I got to sing with my peers with the New York Philharmonic 14 times.
wow.
You know, Carnegie Hall performed like subscription Carnegie Hall performances, the best conductors in the world, being on those stages. It was a wonderful lifelong like mountains that I got to be a part of there. And I
Baritone or tenor?
Pardon?
Baritone or tenor?
I typically, as a voice part, I'm a baritone, but in choir, I typically get stuck singing low bass because I can sing the notes.
Okay.
Yeah, I typically can go down to a low C, and yeah, in all the choirs that I've pretty much ever been in, I occupy the low ground. And then I ended up doing my doctorate at the University of Kansas. We moved back to the Midwest. My wife is also an accomplished musician. She's a horn player and an arts administrator, and and she did
French
her grad.
horn?
Yeah, French horn. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So she did her master's work in Kansas City, and I got my DMA there and became a teacher. Along the way, I was dabbling in writing and getting my name out with publications and getting known in the choral world. That ended up being kind of the next 10 or 15 years of my life, kind of chasing that. And then right around when COVID happened, I lost my gig.
Ah,
The world
right.
kind of blew up, especially for choirs and for choral schools, because COVID is like being standing right close to somebody and exhaling prominently is
Right.
not the activity. It was really scary, actually,
No,
for a lot of
absolutely.
for myself and a lot of my peers. We're like, can we actually do what we love and be safe about it? It was a strange thing for a few years. And it was kind of a generational shift at the school. I actually had gone back to Westminster to teach for a long period of time. And that's where I really developed all of that ear training. We most of our students are vocalists primarily, and they don't have the button that they can push on their instrument to know what note's going to come out. You have to use your noggin and your inner ear, and that takes training and training and training. And these are world-class students coming through this conservatory, and you've got to act like you know more than them, you know.
Exactly.
So it makes you be better at it. So the stuff that I do on the Daily Doug is the result of just me doing all of the daily training. You have to, this is how I take in a new piece and learn as much about it as I can in a single take so that I can remember it, because I'm adding repertoire all the time. You know, when you study classical music, when people say, "Oh, what's your favorite Beethoven symphony?" They expect you to be able to talk about that stuff as if you know the difference and what they sound like. So, music students, we would have these drop the needle listening tests where they would, now it's skipped to the part in the MP3 file, but it used to be, drop the needle on the record player, and it would be somewhere in the middle of a piece, and you have to go, "Oh yeah, that's the second movement of Brahms 3."
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot to know.
That's a lot to try to, and sometimes you remember it like that, and sometimes it's a process of elimination. Oh, it can't be that one. Yeah, it's that one. And it's just, it comes from repetitions and learning how to scholastically hear music. So I can turn it off, so to speak, and just, let the windows down and sing along. But when I'm really engaged in trying and doing my work, it's just part of the training,
Sure, and I'm sure
it gets reinforced every day for decades.
So how easy is it for you to like to hear a melody in your head and then go to the piano and just like, there it is?
Better now. When
Right?
it was a skill as a composer. I don't know. I see your guitars there, and I read that you play guitar in your own band there. But
Yeah.
if you come up with a sound in your head, and you're like, "Wow, it would be cool if we came to this big culmination point and it sounded like this," and you can imagine it in your head and have no damn idea how to ever explain to anybody else how to replicate it. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating. So developing that skill, okay, if I can imagine it, can I imagine how to notate it, how to communicate it? Whether it's just on a lead sheet, besides me just singing it to somebody and trying to notate, dictate it that way, can I quantify it? Can I figure out what its nuts and bolts are? Even if I miss the key, can I at least get the contour of it? And, you get egg on your face and it's really difficult. You try again and you get a little bit further down the road. And 10 years later, it's almost, second hat.
Yeah.
Practice.
It's
the 10,000 hours thing,
right. Yeah. So I grew up playing trumpet. So I was lead trumpet in the stage band, the concert band, youth symphony, playing Masterpiece Theater. And I was going to become a music major. And then I decided to go into psychology. And then it was a battle back and forth forever. And they're still both right at my side. But yeah, so I used to read music. I don't really read music anymore. But yeah, just that whole looking at music on a page, and for people that can read it and look at it, makes sense. For people that don't understand music, it's like, what the hell is that?
If people see my eyes kind of dart up or look like I'm looking past you into the distance, I'm visualizing a sheet of manuscript paper.
Right.
And what it looks like. That's
my
almost what it is.
Too.
Yeah.
Amadeus, great movie, right?
Right. Some of it's real.
Some of it, of course.
Some of it's
very
real.
Hollywoodized, but yeah. But just to have, be it 4 or 5, I don't know how accurate that was, but just having that type of musical genius too.
Mm-hmm.
it just reminded me, like, when I was looking at, God, this guy's like Mozart. He's just like hearing it and play it. And oh, we can improve it with this, you know.
For me, I'm a testament that means if you're not born with it, you can get pretty good at it. I don't have perfect pitch. Every time that I do these episodes, I'll tune up beforehand. I'll remind myself where the key is and kind of go through a couple of exercises just to get my musical ear active. And, you know, if I'm doing a metal song, I'll center around E because a lot of them are in E because of the open strings. And if I remember where E is when I hear them, I'm like, oh, they're a third higher. Okay, they're in G. Okay. And then from there, I can typically follow. Just with practice of listening to music for formal analysis too. I took an entire semester where all we did was listen to music and have to graph the form. It's A, then it's B, and then it's A again. Okay, if this is in this key, what are the modulations? Where are the transitions? And you have to do it that way. It's not necessarily even just what chord is it. It's what's the form of it. Right. Then if you can remember, like, okay, that first section was in B flat, and you get totally lost in the middle. Okay, you could come back to the B flat at the end. Like they're coming back to almost, yeah, that sounds the same. And by the time I've gotten to almost 1,000 episodes, I remember what E minor sounds like. You know.
So how did you come up with the concept of doing the daily Doug? And why do you think how did it get lit on fire?
Well, it was by the summer of 2020. We're in the kind of the depths of COVID, right? And
we're all freaking out.
And it's clear that my contract is not going to be renewed for the following year. Right. As a further indictment of the American higher education, I was never tenure track. I was always contract to contract. Wow. So I could never find a gig that, you know, in this climate of the last 10 years. There's so few of them that are available. It's very cutthroat. Anyway, man, I lost track of what I was even saying.
I had asked you, how did you come up with the Daily Doug? It's COVID. You need to find something to do, obviously.
So I find myself at home and trying to figure out, okay, there's the schools aren't hiring. Am I going to go into the private sector? I haven't been in the private sector for 15 years. Do I have skills? What skills do I have? Do I have a resume that looks like, you know, my school resume is a CV. It's like, you know, 15 pages. And it was just kind of spending some time on YouTube and starting to see these reaction channels pop up. And I got into watching people react to movies that I like. And I never had really gotten into the music stuff. And my brother, who is the real music aficionado of the family. I mean, I'm the one who's educated about it. My brother's the DJ of the family. He's the one with the huge collection, the really eclectic, you know, collection of music. And he's like, you ought to do these reaction videos. And I looked at a few of them. I'm like, is it worth my time if I go on camera and go, ooh, look at that? You know, it's what. Like, I was trying to figure out how I could bring value to it, and one of the things he said, he's like, you always over-explain everything. Just be yourself, and just tell them, just make it, treat it like a classroom. You know, like do an impromptu music lecture. You just don't know what the music sounds like before you start. I'm like, that would be a fun game. So I called his bluff. I said, okay, which one should I start with? He said, you should start with Iron Maiden. Fear of the Dark. That's a good Iron Maiden song. I'm like, why Iron Maiden? It's like, because the Iron Maiden fans are loyal, and if they see Iron Maiden on YouTube, they'll click on it, no matter how many subscribers you have. And lo and behold, that's what happened. You know, at the time I had maybe 200 subscribers just for a decade of my own professional work. right? And with my own choral works occasionally here and there. And I come back 4 or 5 days later, I'm like, why have 5,000 people watched this video? And people are going, hey, you like that? You should do this. And people are like, you know this band? And I'm like, maybe I should do another video. And for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I do a couple a week. And then it starts getting there and there and there. And we're gaining like 800 to 1,000 subscribers a day. My mind was blown. We hit like 10,000 subscribers in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I really was unprepared for it, but just awakened to the idea that, okay, if I can build up enough of a community around this, maybe I can build a way to earn a living doing this. Because when I'm working with pretty much exclusively copyrighted material, most of my YouTube videos are not allowed to be monetized. So they're basically like free advertising. And then the community that supports me is on my Patreon. And you know, I've got almost 1,000, you know, of these episodes on YouTube. I just recorded my 91st full album reaction for my Patreon community.
What album was that?
I did A Trick of the Tail from Genesis.
Sure.
There we go. Yeah. I had skipped
early 70s?
Early February 76 is when that one came out. That's the first one with Phil Collins.
Right.
After Peter Gabriel left. And I had only heard, I had been all around Genesis repertoire, but I'd only heard one off of that album before. And I really, really liked it. That was earlier today that I heard that one. But yeah, we do a whole bunch of extra stuff, even outside the YouTube stuff. The YouTube stuff is almost like my advertising arm, my marketing arm, you know, because I very few of them are able to be money makers for me personally, and I understand that going in. I mean, it's not my music, right? It's their music,
right?
But we've got such a nice community that's built up of people that like engaging in this way, that like to see me doing this and want to support what we do. And so we've got about 1,000 or more active folks
that's amazing,
that are helping us out. And we've got just a plethora of stuff. It really keeps me busy. It is a 24/7, the doctor is always in kind of job. And I absolutely love it. Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about COVID, how it just like was a course correction in so many ways for the technology that just pushed us into this, you know, video connection and sharing.
Yeah.
That would have taken probably decades if that hadn't happened, or maybe not decades, but it wouldn't have come along as fast.
The access
to a lot of opportunities. Yeah.
The access to broadband and the you know, the mobile you know, video factory that we have in our hands these days.
Exactly.
The first 100-something plus episodes, if you go back to my early ones, it actually is it's 2025. I started in 2020. It's the same damn phone. It's an old iPhone 11. It's an old iPhone 11. And those those old it's just my iPhone on a tripod with no mic, with no anything. It's just me talking at my iPhone. That's how I started.
Yeah, that's amazing, that technology.
Because it was therapy for me. I was going through it, just trying to figure out, like, after all of this in my life, building up to this point where I'm in my mid-40s, I'm in my prime, I'm supposed to be taking the next step, and that step seems to not be available. Where the hell do I go? You know, it was really scary.
One of the people I interviewed, Tom DeSavia, who is the senior vice president at Concord Music Publishing, and he's an A&R. And we were talking about how we're both just incredibly drawn to reaction videos. And it's not only discovering music that we've known, but we maybe haven't listened to like the whole album in its entirety. But for a lot of young people that are like finding, you know, Genesis or Rush or Pink Floyd or bands that they just never even knew were on the map, and just watching them get excited about it,
Yeah.
it is a beautiful experience to live vicariously. And then you start remembering, what was the first time I heard Dark Side of the Moon? Oh yeah, it was at that party in high school, you know, and it brings back that like feelings, and I just love that. So
Mm.
obviously I get a lot of content that comes over, and that's how you came up. And I'm like, he's doing Rush, I'm there in a second. And that is why I think they're so immensely popular, is because not only are, you know, I'm a boomer, you're what, a Gen Zer,
I am
but
48, whatever that makes me.
young
Yeah,
punk.
indeed.
um, uh, but just to be able to experience in that, and I love the fact that you're listening stuff for the first time,
Mm.
and then, you know, just going, wow.
Yeah.
And I
And
can't wait to,
it's a weird set of circumstances. People come up to me all the time and they're like, I'm calling bullshit. There is no way that you haven't heard this song. And I'm like,
right.
y'all, I grew up in Arkansas
That's the you all.
with with a fundamentalist Christian family.
Ah,
We did not have an LP player in the house. We had a radio, we had a cassette deck, but if anything was on, it was the game. I
right.
listened to Joe Buck calling St. Louis Cardinals games
Oh yeah.
my entire childhood, you
Oh yeah.
know, and that's what that was my stuff. I knew the stats on the back of baseball cards, not who the composers and the songs and the bands were. And so all of this came as new. And as I got into music, I went naturally into choir and then classical from the academic standpoint. And I got to know all of that repertoire. Meanwhile, I'm going, oh, there's a band called Yes that's over there somewhere. And there's a band
Right.
called Rush that they talk about. I knew that these bands existed. And I had even heard some of their songs on award shows or commercials or things like that. But
Sure.
I'd never sat down and listened to any of this stuff. And it's just kind of a perfect opportunity um, to spend some time doing that and bring as much scholarship as I'm able to music that probably never was given a whole lot of scholarship attention in the first place. You know?
True. Yeah, and music is so powerful. You know, think of a television show, a movie without music. I remember one of the times I really felt in love with or understood the power. It's an old classic film, Charlton Heston, called Soylent Green.
Mm.
And I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I've heard of it and I've seen part of
Yes.
it. That's another thing. We're thinking about doing movies because there's a lot
Okay.
of movies I haven't seen either. And that's
So
one
there's
of
a
them.
scene.
Seen a
There's
little
a
bit of
scene,
it.
and it's in the future, and we're basically running out of food. Everything's dying. All the forests are dying, and they live in a city, and it's the Soylent Green is what they feed the people on Tuesdays. And the guy, he's a police detective, and the guy he's working with is a researcher, and it's old school books and stuff whenever they can find books. And he finds out something, and he says, I can't live anymore. And he leaves Charlton Heston a note, and he goes off to basically the homicide center. You walk into, it's air conditioned, it's beautiful, and they're going to put you to sleep. And
Mm.
as part of that, they put you in this room, and they start showing you pictures of the wilderness, deers and rivers and beautiful. And Charlton Heston breaks in there to try and talk to him before he's already been given the drugs. And he's looking at this, and he's got tears in his eyes because he's never seen
Mm.
that part of the world like that. And I believe there's three pieces there. I think one of them is Beethoven's Fourth.
Okay.
And I could be wrong about that. But ever since that movie, when I hear that, and I should know it, I should know what it's called, but it just brings this wave of just love and beauty and like gratitude over me. And it's just the power of music, whether it's classical or
Yeah.
rock or whatever. It's so beautiful and so
Melvin,
necessary.
music has a way of kind of encompassing time in a way that we can get at it. You know, like with music, we can help remember a feeling or remember a thought in a way that we really uh, can't replicate. There's just something about how a tune, a melody will put you back in a headspace that you haven't been in for decades. But it's immediate and it's there. And it's the music that unlocks it. They're one of the growing fields of music is music therapy. And when I was doing my doctorate, KU, there's my diploma up there. I'm certified, y'all. All right. And uh, they had a growing music therapy area, and it's amazing what breakthroughs they've been able to start to make with especially Alzheimer's and memory patients with using music as therapy. There's even some now with using actual sound waves to help kill like bad cells and like cells that are attacking you. It's a whole new field, and it's kind of fun that
it's a field being rediscovered because
indeed
the ancients had the knowledge of light and sound
yeah
healing properties.
yeah
So yeah, it's very cool. And
Hmm.
as a therapist, I'm always looking for anything that can help anybody. And if I think, hey, you need EMDR, I'm not that dude, go find it there. Or if you need a music therapy, go find it there. Because I'm in my lane as a narrative cognitive behavioral therapist. But yes, it's the power of music and the power of light and sound to heal us. It is just an amazing thing.
Mm.
So you must be very mentally and emotionally healthy.
When I am doing this work,
Yeah.
when I am in it, you darn right. It feels great. But outside of it, yeah, life weighs on me the same way it does as everybody. It's a scary time to live right now. And there is strife in my life, and actually, I am the product of therapy. I believe in therapy, and I've
Well, good.
been active with the therapist for a while. And
I believe in it too.
yeah. It's just
I better since it's my job.
indeed, right? But it was something that as I became an older adult, I realized this is an avenue that's available for empathy and for help, and it's courageous to take it. It's not a weakness to take it,
No,
to take advantage of it. Yeah.
well, as men, we're raised that vulnerability is a bad word. We don't want our right flank Hank division to be vulnerable to attack, or we don't want our quarterback to be vulnerable to a blindside hit. So we're told, don't be vulnerable. That's weakness. And the reality is that vulnerability is essential if you want to create a deep flow of intimacy, if you really want to connect to love. And so I love it when I'm able to help men who are very resistant, but that finally have reached out and said, okay, let me start this process. And then a month later, they can't wait for the next session because they have a first time to really be vulnerable, to really share without any judgment, without any criticism, without anything. And that allows them then to get into that more self-love, but also then to become more loving and caring. And that's such a powerful thing, vulnerability. And that's such a cornerstone of intimacy.
It's really fascinating. My audience, as I've gone on, has gotten more diverse. But as I started, especially with metal music and like prog rock, it was like my YouTube statistics.
99% men.
Yeah, it was actually like 95 for like the first year.
Right.
But the thing that kind of connected me to a lot of these guys, I think, was my love of poetry. I got into just loving choral music, and that is a texted music. And it's hard. I mean, you can write doo-wops and stuff for nonsense words, but you need text if you're going to, especially sing a cappella, right? So I got into really searching out poetry and these wonderful poets throughout the ages. One of my teachers helped me out a great deal with that. I even took a poetry class in college to learn more about how it works. And so the way that I connect, or my compositional technique, is how do I best, I always start with the text that I want to set, and then think, how do I want to bring this to life for the people that hear it? And not like, I've got this music, what do I want to say language wise with it? For me, it was always the language coming first. And so when I hear elements in the pieces that I'm reviewing, and then I have the lyrics right next to me, and I can read them, I can hear them, and I can hear what the music's doing. I'm like, okay, if they're doing that particular move, they're signifying this major third or this whatever it is as a part of this overall idea, and I can use that in a way of lyrical analysis that I think connects with men, especially who have found kind of a quiet solace in the lyrics of these classic metal and prog tunes. They're tales of human empathy and exploration, the human condition. Sometimes they're sci-fi, sometimes they're out there, but they always mean something. And like, everybody gets harping on how heavy it is or how thrashy it is, and they don't even remember or think about what they're saying. But the fans know, and that's why it's important to them. And somebody knows what this is about, I better pay attention, and it just was an immediate sort of connection. You get this stuff, even if it's just me trying to empathize with how a person might like that, or how a person might respond to that, or what I think it means. It's been so rewarding time after time after time to meet people that feel like I'm a long lost friend, and they're like,
yeah,
I've been wanting to do that with somebody for years. Thank you. That was cool. I had a beer and I listened to it again. Highest compliment I can get.
Absolutely. Speaking of great poets, Neil Peart, the late great. I tell you,
Neil's
man,
a singular person, wasn't he?
yeah, and great writer. His great books, and what a person to overcome, tragedy. I mean, when your 19-year-old daughter dies in a car accident on the way back to college, and your wife dies 6 months later of cancer, your world has just been gutted.
It gives you a perspective that not many other people can go to.
Right.
Yeah.
He wrote a great book called Ghost Rider, where his therapy was to get on this motorcycle and ride. And I think he rode 55,000 miles on his motorcycle between Alaska, Canada, United States, and Mexico, just to think. And he would be riding 800 miles a day. And he would be going, so remember, he's going by McNichols Arena in Denver, thinking, I just played to a huge sold out arena show a year ago. Will I ever even pick up drumsticks again? And so for that rebirth to happen, and for him to have that, all that pain, but wisdom, and be able to put lyrics that mean something down on paper. When I was driving somewhere when the news came out that he had died, I had to pull over. I was in tears. I just didn't realize how much this man had meant to me in terms of not only lyrics, but incredible drumming, but also with Geddy and Alex, to be able to create something so poetically beautiful and the music fit that. So, when you were honing in on that, I'm like,
and here's the thing, Power Window, I've been doing this for a few years now, and like with Rush, everybody's like Tom Sawyer, 2112, and like Moving Pictures and the early stuff, and I'm like, I haven't heard of any of these songs. Is anybody gonna watch should I just go past it? I'll just go past, and people are like, no, Doug, please, you'll like it. And it blew me away.
Oh, so good. And
It's almost a concept album because everything is on some type of the way that power gets wielded against something
Right.
else.
Big money, grand design, you know, Manhattan Project, Marathon. I
Yeah.
love Marathon. And so, yeah, sorry, my Rush geekiness is coming out.
No. It's wonderful, and that's
Yeah,
why that's one of the reasons why I do these episodes is because, our lives are busy, but, for half an hour, for an hour, we're gonna just focus on this. It's
right.
safe, it's lovely, we're gonna get something out of it, and let's have some fun. But let's also, you know, be better for it by the time we get done with it.
I'm
Yeah,
curious,
yeah.
as part of your professorship and teaching,
Mm.
how do you approach teaching musicians how to emote, how to connect to their music in a way that they're not just staring at the page and playing the notes, but actually it's coming from maybe a vulnerable place or somewhere powerful?
Mm.
For me, I'd much rather see a less proficient, technically advanced guitarist that's playing with emotion and from the heart than somebody super technical who's just sitting there looking at his fingers and not moving and just doing this. And I'm like, bore me to death.
Sure. Um, in a word, the the one thing that humans can do that others can't, breathe. It's always on the breath. Whether you're singing or playing the piano or playing your guitar or playing the drums, if your posture's right, if your breath support is right, if you breathe in with intention, in time, and you're exhaling in time and in the spirit of the music that you're playing, your body will attune to it, and your natural musicianship will come out.
Right.
Every time that you do that, whenever I can get, I've taught too. I've taught voice lessons and composition, and I've directed choirs, and that's the big thing for us is, we can just be sitting there for a while, and they're off, the rest of the musicians are off doing their thing, but then we got to focus in and go, okay, breathe, and then we're in,
Right.
and you have to focus that. It's the prep right before the breath. That's the magic moment. That's, like where you're gathering the intention, and then you're in, and then you're off and going. The
Very important. Yeah.
the
Reminds me of
the
the lyric, breathe, breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care. Pink Floyd.
right
Right.
now there are great examples of virtuosic playing that is also greatly melodic and free flowing and full of humanity. But there's some that get clinical and technical,
Mhm. Yeah.
even when it's a human playing it. And I'm of the opinion that part of the downfall that we get into when we go into extremely like nonstop virtuosity is that it doesn't matter what it is. If it's banging away at you like this for more than a few seconds, we start to adapt to it, and it's no longer having the impact that it needs to have. I think the same thing still about double kick in metal. I'm like, okay, I get that y'all can do blast beats with both your feet, but from a compositional standpoint, you're overusing it. Your piece actually loses power, in my
Right.
opinion, when you just do that incessantly, just beating the audience over the head with all of this power. Maybe that's the idea, wall of sound, but if you use it musically and it comes in and it comes out and then you comes back in again, people will realize, oh, that wasn't there before. The bass just dropped, and it's a whole different thing. But if it's there the whole time, it gets harder to make the mountains high and the valleys low. You have to just break things apart like that.
Right. And I think in terms of psychological way of analyzing that, it's
Mm,
about it's also kind of anxiety producing, because I always tell people the space between the notes in music is just as important as the notes themselves.
hmm
Otherwise, you'd have a wall of sound. And so when people that suffer from the disease of compulsive thinking, there's never any space. There's not breathing going on. There's just this wall of what if, and thoughts and going on. And there's no like, just where's the space? Where's the space where there's nothing? Right? And how do you find that and see how important that stillness is?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be as really in the moment and present as you can be, because you are now then jumping in between silence and sound. And that's, I think, where I think good music for me is. It's dynamics, it's creating that give and take, and not just
right.
jackhammer.
The pacing needs to be just approachable, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So that's cool. Yeah, breath. Yeah, and breathing is everything.
Whether you're playing a wind instrument or not.
Yeah. I have to do it.
Yeah, I can always
I'm playing guitar,
tell.
and I'll start playing. I'll get up there and because I battle. I'm not much anymore. In fact, I kind of won that battle, but early perfectionism. And so I'm in a cover band, Arc of Transcendence, here in LA. And, we're doing a lot of tough pieces guitar wise. We're doing, Stairway to Heaven, Zeppelin. We're doing, just songs, Steely Dan solos, or, Bon Jovi, whatever, just doing a lot of different stuff.
You're not doing 3-chord rock. Well, at least not exclusively,
No. And I'm like, my goal these days, if I can get 90% of the song where I want it to be, I'm taking it.
Rock and roll.
If we didn't train wreck the ending, if one of us didn't forget the bridge, and that's been really liberating. But still, sometimes that thought comes in, and when I'm having a gig or whatever, I'm like, oh, am I going to mess that up? Like, who cares? Just play. Just play. Believe in what you're doing, and they will be drawn into you. No one's listening to every note that you're playing unless another guitarist is really like intent on seeing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And giving yourself that freedom. And that is that breathing. I got to remember, breathe.
Yeah. I'll do the same with my videos. I'll be sitting there and I'll tell my wife, Meg, I'm like, look, at 18 minutes in, I had trouble. I did. She's like, you did what? I'm like, yeah, like you're your own worst critic. I decided early on that if I was going to do as much of this as I'm doing work most days, that the style of video that I would do would be uncut. So I just turn on the thing and go, hey y'all, welcome back to the, and just do it. It's all one take, almost exclusively.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think unless there's like a technical problem where we lost connection for a little while. Other than that, I'll shorten that intro because we were talking before, and then at the end I'll cut that a little bit, and that's it.
Yeah, but
let it flow.
It's great to meet folks along the way that 4 or 5 years into this are just now finding me. We still chug, we're not growing at that exponential rate that we were early on, but we just keep growing a little by little by little. And, we're still pretty much centered on rock and roll, progressive rock, some heavy metal, some jazz and jazz fusion, and then pop stuff. I don't do a whole lot of classical on the channel.
Right.
People think I do some on my Patreon. I do a series called Behind the Score, where it's basically me coming on, sometimes with a rock and roll piece of music, but a lot of times it's with classical stuff, because these are folks that are like, what, you're my music professor. Tell me how it works. So we did a whole series on The Planets by Gustav Holst, and I got out an orchestral score and went movement by movement with them.
Wow.
And it's college level stuff.
Right.
And some of them are like, it sounds great. And a lot of them are like, okay, this is, they just eat it up,
Hey, have you ever done Jeff Beck's Blow by Blow?
I know I've done some of Jeff Jeff Beck, but I don't know if I've done Blow by Blow.
Yeah, I believe 76, 77.
Maybe. I think it's on my list to do.
Yeah, please do it, because incredible musicianship all the way around.
Yeah.
And it's that album that really made me fall in love with guitar. And so it's a brilliant album.
The first time I heard and recognized who Jeff Beck was, it was on Blaze of Glory by John Bon Jovi.
Ah.
that's my age group. You know, when John Bon Jovi did the soundtrack for Young Guns 2, I'm like, who is that guitar player? That's not Richie Sambora. I'm like, yeah, that's Jeff Beck. I'm like, holy crap, he's good.
Yeah, it's an amazing fusion rock album, and it's just like I'd never heard anything like that before. And I'm like, how do I do that? And I didn't start playing guitar till I graduated from college. And so that, because I always had wanted to, I'm like, I don't want to be a trumpet player my whole life. How cool is that? I don't know if you ever watched Live at Daryl's House.
Yeah, great series.
There's a great episode with Joe Walsh, and he's talking about, I started out playing the clarinet, and after a while I thought, I can't talk to girls if I have a clarinet in my mouth. So I'm doing a really bad Joe Walsh impression. So I switched to guitar, and still the girls didn't talk to me.
Oh man, yeah, I've got a little guitar that's been gifted to me back here, but I still am afraid to touch it too much.
Who gifted it to you?
Yeah, one of my patrons.
Okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
So we've got.
So let me ask you a final question here. What do you think the most valuable thing in the universe is?
Oh, self-awareness.
Why?
Thinking. Why? For me, it just gives me a sense of, at least in my own self, why I'm here and what my purpose is.
Okay, so it ties kind of into with your kind of quest to create a philosophy of life that is meaningful to you.
I'd hate to wake up on a day, especially as a fully realized adult, with you know what? I'm just apathetic about everything. I don't want to do anything. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what makes me happy. I don't know what's valuable to somebody else. I'm just blah. That would be hell on earth for me.
Yeah.
If I hope that when I rise in the morning, I'm not only that I have something to look forward to, that I know that what I'm going to do is going to in some way make me better by the end of the day, and that I have the curiosity and the drive to go get it done, whatever it is. And sometimes it's stuff that's not fun, chores or anything else, but sometimes it's things that I get to do for my spouse and for my community and as my job. It's just a part of it,
Yeah, well, great answer. That's
Thank you.
Question I ask people and most people, I don't think I've found a person yet that's been asked that question before. But it's just, I think it's important for people to ask that question, because if that's the most valuable thing in the universe to you, what are you doing every day to connect to it, manufacture it, protect it, embrace it? And that's a great way to, I think, approach life, because you're pursuing what you really think is valuable. And so many times we just get pulled in directions that we're doing things, but they're not really valuable to us. And sometimes it's just basic survival. It's just basic things we have to do. But if you could connect to that on a daily basis, then at least you can connect to gratitude and have an understanding of then some idea of the present moment and be grateful for the present moment. I saw one person said, or a guru probably, well, I'll do it this way. Doug, I'm going to give you $1 trillion right now. Now make it 50 trillion. A couple caveats. You can't spend it or give it away to anybody for at least 2 days.
Okay.
But also you won't wake up tomorrow morning. Do you want it?
Nah,
No. So in
of
essence,
course not.
also waking up every day is priceless.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize that, you can want to pick up the guitar. You're going to want to write. You're going to want to do things because it's like there's going to be a time where that's the last time I do it,
Mm.
right? There's going to be a last time I see a client. So every client I see, I say a thank you, gratitude before I start a session, and just be thankful that I have this opportunity because one day will be the last one.
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah.
self-awareness answer, I think, is really, really cool, man.
Yeah.
But Doug,
Thanks.
it's been a pleasure talking with you. I wish you nothing but love and success and continue doing what you're doing. It's beautiful.
I appreciate it. Before I
Thanks so
let
much
you
for being on. Yeah.
go, what is your
Okay.
favorite Rush album?
Boy, that's going to be a tough one. I do love
Tune in
Power
for the next
Windows.
episode, y'all. Okay.
Yes, I do love Power Windows. As I think they were really in the right place there. I think it's more feeling. Where do I want to go? Permanent Waves is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
A Clockwork. God, I can't even think of the name now.
Angels?
The last album.
Yeah. Clockwork
The
Angels?
last album. Clockwork Angels, yes.
So
Fantastic.
I've only heard, so this is the one, I cannot wait to listen to this album, Rod. I think I'm going to go in order and
Right.
save it till the end, but man, I'm fighting that because I've heard The Garden. I heard The Garden early. I heard The Garden.
One of my favorite songs of Rush all time.
Early on, and I'm like, I have to get back to more of this. I have to get through all. You're telling me I have to go through all the other ones?
Right. And what a fitting
yeah.
last song on their last album, The Garden. Yeah. And I use the analogy of a garden is a living thing, and a relationship between two people is a living thing.
Mm.
I'm actually writing a book right now called Tending the Garden, a guide to growing a great relationship, which I hope to finish at some point. And but it is that beautiful. One of the lines I love from that is the measure of a man, a measure of love and respect, so hard to earn, so easily burned.
Yeah.
And boy, I deal with a lot of torched relationship issue stuff and trying to repair that, but just God, gorgeous. And I was lucky enough to see them, I think 7 times. Actually was lucky enough to be backstage and hang with Geddy and Alex for an hour.
That's cool.
On their Hold Your Fire tour, which is a whole nother story. Yeah, very cool.
Well, we'll have to talk some more. I really enjoyed chatting with you. Yeah.
Great. Me too, man. And hey, I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah, there you go. That's how it works. Well,
all right. Well,
yeah, thanks for bringing me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for coming on. All right. Well, namaste.
Namaste.